Hi, this is Rick for EDU Mobile. Now we're going to talk about media playback and the new APIs available to us in Android Lollipop. So let's go. The first thing we want to look at is Media Browser. Media Browser is a very powerful class that can be extended through a service to access media content from basically any place on the device, even other apps. It can browse also the metadata of media. You can supply this in a JSON file. The metadata can come directly from the media itself, and it can provide an adapter for a list view or other view group, and so forth. What we want to do here is extend the Media Browser Service class as a service in your application. And then within that, we want to instantiate the new Media Session class within the service. And then we notify the Media Browser service with the Sessions token. So we make a new session equal new Media Session, a context, and then whatever we called our service, in this case my service. And then we set the session token for my service as session.getSessionToken. Now the session token thing becomes very important because it's how the browser service and the new media controller communicate back and forth with the session. So let's look now at this media session object. It replaces the old remote control client class, and it provides a single set of callbacks for controlling media playback. You only need to have one media session unless you need finer grained control. You only need to have one media session class in your application for all media playback in the app. You provide the media session token, as we saw in the last slide, the media session get session token, to other objects like media browsers, media controllers, and so forth. So now I've mentioned media controllers a couple of times. What is the media controller thing? A media controller is a thread-safe controller class for playing back your media. So the media controller gets a media session token, and then it can send play and pause and rewind and seek and different kind of transport controls back to the media session object through media controller transport controls methods. So methods of the transport controls of the media controller itself. It can also listen to the session by registering a callback. And listening to the session allows it to see things like when the playback ended and so forth, if there was a problem with the playback, etc. So the app, though, even though these are very powerful classes for controlling playback and doing things like cataloging media through the media session, the new APIs help to find media and control playback, but the app is still responsible for actually playing the media. And you may do this through the old media player class, and that's perfectly fine. If your app needs to deal with playlists and the metadata of media files, then use media session, media browser service, media controller, and so forth. If your app is an Android Auto or Android TV app, it needs to use these classes. But for simple media playback, just continue to use Media Player alone. For example, if your app needs to play an audio file in the background, or you have a game and there are sound effects that you need to play, just for simple media playback, it is appropriate to use the Media Player class alone. However, if your app needs to expose media actually to the user and allow them to control the playback and stopping and pausing and rewinding of media, and if your app also is looking at multiple media files that the user needs to select from, then by all means you should use now Media Session, Media Browser Service, and Media Controller. Thank you very much.